This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, the 13th Octacan Food Appeal has received more than 13,000 items of food filling their cupboards. A multi-million-dollar methane burning plant is removing a foul smell near Queenstown. And the first sod has been turned on a major Queenstown roading project, set to ease traffic congestion in the resort town. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Dunedin's annual Octacan Appeal has seen the Octagon nearly filled with donations of tinned food. It's the largest single donation gathering event coordinated by Presbyterian Support Otago, who say the result has filled their cupboards until the end of the year.
A collection of stars filling the Octagon with food during Presbyterian Support Otago's annual Octacan Appeal.
Over the last year we ran a major campaign through COVID, which we had a phenomenal response to, and really I think what I'd really like to say is how grateful we are to everybody involved with Presbyterian Support. That's from volunteers to donators for all of our services, because we could not run without the help of the people across Otago.
Presbyterian Support Otago Chief Executive Joe Rowe says this is their biggest single collection and is necessary to keep food available for those in need. Balmacewen Intermediate School Principal Andrew Hunter says pupils at their school held an inter-house competition to see which house could collect the most cans. The end result filling the back of this SUV after more than a week of collecting. He says it's all about the season and the spirit of giving.
It's a way of giving back to our community. Matariki particularly, it's around giving, so big messages for our community is to go and support others. So yeah, really important, fits very well for us.
Representatives of Balmacewen's houses were on hand to distribute the cans into the correct categories. 11-year-old Phoenix Stevenson Wright was given the task of speaking on behalf of the pupils due to his efforts with his best mate.
Me and my friend Tyson, we brought the most cans out of our class, so that's why I got to come. And why it helps everyone in the community is because some people don't have enough money to buy food for themselves.
The number of cans on the stars in the Octagon grew steadily during the day. And Joe Rose says they chose the Stars for Matariki's theme as this year's appeal coincides with the Māori New Year.
So the stars are for Matariki, and you'll see that in each of the stars there is comments in relation to Matariki and the food that we're collecting for those stars.
Rose says the 13th annual Octacan was a success as they received more than 13,500 cans and $3,000 in cash, which means the Family Works Food Bank will be able to meet demand through until Christmas. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Domestic enrolments skyrocketing at Dunedin's tertiary institutions have led to unprecedented demand for student flats for next year. Letting agencies say as far back as March this year, students were inquiring about flats for 2022. They say there is not much extra stock coming to the market and there are no major developments underway. They also predict more pressure when international students are allowed back in the country. The Otago University Students Association says some students have reported rooms costing up to $40 more this year compared to last year. A $7.8 million gas capture and destruction system at the Victoria Flats landfill between Queenstown and Cromwell is up and running. The landfill's owner hopes the new addition will alleviate an unpleasant smell, which has plagued Gippsland residents for years.
Processing gas so it doesn't cause a stink for this landfill's neighbours.
The landfill gas system has been retrofitted into the completed part of the landfill that's been capped, that has had final capping applied.
The smell has been dogging nearby Gippsland residents and passing motorists on State Highway 6 for years, especially on winter mornings. Landfill owner Scope Resources says this $7.8 million gas capture and destruction system could close the valve on odour and greenhouse gas emissions coming from the facility.
Basically, it's wrapped in a heavy-duty plastic. Wells have been drilled into the compacted rubbish, capped, and we basically suck the gas out of that section and incinerate it in the flare behind me.
24 wells were drilled about 20 metres into the fully sealed part of the landfill, with pipes from each well connected to a ring pipe encircling the mound. The system was first switched on in early April and fully commissioned in June. The methane produced by buried organic waste is carried to a flare which destroys the gas by burning it at about 760 degrees Celsius. The computer-controlled system is in line with the Queenstown Lakes District Council's Climate Action Plan, with the QLDC set to repay the cost of the equipment with increased fees to deposit waste at the site during its remaining 14.5-year lifespan. In Queenstown, the South Today.
The Dunedin International Science Festival has sold out more than a third of its 100 events. This good news comes with less than a week to go before it kicks off. The event includes the exhibition of a giant detailed moon in a former church hall on Hanover Street. Organisers estimate about 4,000 tickets have been sold and more than 35 events have already sold out. They credit the success of pre-sales to having more key events that are popular with a broad audience. The 11-day festival is set to open next Thursday. Dignitaries have turned the first sod for the construction of a traffic bypass in Queenstown. The new road development will ease congestion through the town centre and has been in the planning stage since 1992.
I'm rather reminded of the Mainland cheese ad, you know, good things take time.
Speaking at a ceremony in Queenstown, local Mayor Jim Bolt says the idea for a bypass in central Queenstown was raised at a district council meeting almost 30 years ago.
It's disappointing it takes this long. I do hope with some of the projects that we've got underway now, we're seeing a lot more urgency to get these things done.
It's going to cost $50 million just to create the first of 3 stages that will ease traffic congestion in central Queenstown, with the money being granted by the government as a COVID-19 recovery, shovel-ready project.
You know, I go back to this time last year and I spent a hell of a long time on phone calls and Zoom calls convincing the folk involved in shovel-ready stuff that we needed this project. And delighted that they listened to us, and hats off to them.
Bolt says he's pleased that work on the bypass is beginning before overseas tourists come back.
We remain an enormously attractive part of the world to live in and to visit, and we've already got transport issues, so why wouldn't we take advantage of this time to do it? Plus, with largely being funded by the central government at no cost to local ratepayers, or very little cost to local ratepayers, it's very logical to do it now.
Construction of Stage 1 is expected to begin at the end of September, with the funding and time frame for the following 2 stages still to be determined. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. A proposed law change looks to crack down on poor behaviour from Freedom campers. And we have this week's edition of Rugby Chat with Paul Dwyer. So catch this and more after the break.
every season. We're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Welcome back. Freedom campers will be only allowed to park overnight within 200 metres of toilets if a members' bill drawn in Parliament today passes. The proposed law change is designed to make it easier to crack down on some of the poor behaviour from Freedom campers and make the rules more consistent. The bill was drafted by West Coast-based National Party List MP Maureen Pugh. She says it was drafted in light of the unprecedented tourism boom New Zealand had before COVID-19. And she expects freedom camping numbers to pick up again once borders are fully reopened. The Christchurch Table Tennis Stadium on Blenheim Road served as this year's venue for one of the biggest bird shows in the South Island this year. Hosted by the Christchurch Poultry, Pigeon and Bantam Club, the event attracted exhibitors from across the country.
Poultry shows are back in full swing after cancellations last year due to COVID-19. This year's Christchurch Poultry, Pigeon and Bantam Club's show attracted more than 900 entries. It was the second largest show in the South Island this year, after the National Poultry Show held in Dunedin last month. Judges gave the Best Bird in the Show award to a Pekin duck. The national show is set to return to Canterbury in 2023, with the North Canterbury Poultry and Pigeon Club hosting the event in Rangiora as part of its 125th Jubilee celebrations. In Christchurch, the South Today.
In this edition of Rugby Chat, rugby aficionado Paul Dwyer talks with a player from the University Rugby Football Club, plus a sports editor from the Otago Daily Times.
I've brought in Hayden Meikle, the Back to the Future sports editor from the ODT, and of course I've got Jermaine Pepe, the varsity fullback, who's currently still in the Otago Water Training Squad. Are you still in it?
Yeah, as of now.
When do they cut it?
I think the final cut is in a few days. I think that's when they kind of bring out the squad that SAS want to take for NPC season.
Are you going to stay in? What's the word?
I have no idea and what SAS wants and what he's looking for for a squad, but yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Been going all right. You've had a pretty good season so far. Vastly been up and down, but you made the Highlander under-20 team.
Yeah, I was a part of that team that went up north, and we did quite
pretty well.
Yeah, we did quite well.
Did you start many games?
I started all the games.
Did you?
Yeah, and I played.
So it shows you how much I watched it.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yes, was lucky enough to start all the games and be a part of a really good team. There's a lot of kids that are showing up, have showed up in club rugby this year out of that team. Obviously the wee kid from Tyree, what's his name? Cameron. Yeah, CAMPBELLS.
Yeah,
CAMPBELLS. He's been quite good.
I don't think he's missed a kick in club rugby since he's been back.
I don't think he's missed a kick his whole life.
Right.
So yeah.
So how does a kid from Gore get so many skills?
I think it's just it's only a matter of time before he got his opportunity, and he took it, and now everyone's able to
going for it.
Yeah.
Right, Hayden, we'll bring you in. So look, you've been the sports editor before. You're back. So going by today's paper, all we had in today's paper was North Otago losing by 1 million points to Hawke's Bay in the Ramford Shield Challenge. Is that all we're going to see in the sports section now? Just more stories about North Otago?
First of all, can I just be clear, was I not your number one option to appear on Rugby Chat today, Paul?
Well, no, I hate to say it, mate, but you were certainly second or third. But
very disappointed.
Yeah.
No, look, North Otago Rugby will feature on news merit only, and of course this week was a huge week. You love the Ranfurly Shield.
Correct.
It still means a lot to a lot of people, and to those boys from North Otago, as I pointed out in the story, they're builders and they're plumbers and they're seed merchants. That's Sam Sturgis, by the way.
Yeah. Is he a seed merchant now?
He's a seed merchant, I think. I've called him that anyway. A huge occasion for them. Yeah, look, it was a little bit brutal. It was tough. The gap between the haves and the have-nots is growing, but no, there'll be no North Otago coverage for a couple of weeks, weirdly enough.
And just before I finish, I better quickly add in that our winner of our Garador product winner last week was Catherine Robertson from Mosgiel, and we'll be back again with you next week.
And you can watch the full interview online at odt.co.nz. Still to come on the South today, Wanaka's regional tourist organisation undergoes major changes with a new brand and a new focus, and we take a look at the weekend's weather for you, so see you after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Thanks for staying with us. Wanaka's regional tourist organisation has undergone a major rebranding and refocus. Lake Wanaka Tourism is describing its new branding as contemporary and modern, but also drawing from the past. It explains that the new branding uses colours of the region and incorporated stylised mountain ridges, rivers, lakes and representations of human journeys past and present. Brand strategist Kate Smith says it's a move away from just attracting visitors to the region. Instead, it represents the true essence of Wanaka in a way that reflects community values and aspirations. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. The 13th Octacan Food Appeal has received more than 13,000 items of food, filling their cupboards until the end of the year. A multi-million-dollar methane burning plant is removing a foul smell near Queenstown as it will burn off methane gas. And the first sod has been turned on a major Queenstown roading project, set to ease traffic congestion in the resort town. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Craig.
Good afternoon. It's Friday.
I know.
So it can't all be bad.
It's great.
It is. We've got a great, an interesting story today with DCC confirming that they're in discussions with Kayangaroa over the possibility of building a housing development in the city down at the old bus depot at Princess Street down there. They said that there's agreement been signed which is going to enable Kayangaroa to investigate the feasibility of the site before they purchase it and move on that front. So it's used by GoBus at the moment as its bus depot. So the DCC's been in contact with them and in talks about other sites for them, which won't be easy either. There's a lot of buses parked down there, so to find room for those. Yeah, I was just thinking,
there's quite a few buses.
Yeah, there are, but the government recently announced that it was putting something like $3.8 billion into accelerating new housing around the country, so this is kind of part of that, I guess. And great to see that Dunedin may benefit from that, so we'll see how things go over coming months, I guess.
So watch that space.
Yeah, a bit of a story to make a few people choke on their cornflakes tomorrow. There's what we thought was a simple little roundabout being installed at the corner of Forbury, Bayview and Allendale Roads, and it was due to be finished at the towards the end of last year. Work's still carrying on in it, hopefully now to be finished, but the cost has blown out to around $2 million. Lots of infrastructure work that needed to be done at the same time, upgrading of water and sewerage and those sorts of things as well. So it was supposed to be a straightforward process, putting a peanut-shaped roundabout in, but it's turned into a bit of a nightmare. Local businesses aren't happy either.
I don't blame them. You go past there and it's like you can see they must be struggling.
Yeah, a lot of those stores rely on people pulling up outside and jumping into their store, and it's not able to happen at the moment. So they're a bit grumpy about the whole process, but hopefully by the end of this month they'll be finished. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, weekend mix, we're looking at UFOs, of all things. So Bruce Munro takes a closer look at some of the unusual sightings reported around New Zealand. Talks to a few of those people who spotted them and maintain they were definitely unidentified flying objects, and they will maintain that and adamant they saw what they saw. So yeah, really interesting story, and I guess we all question at the end of it.
Definitely.
And just finally with a bit of sport, All Blacks making their first appearance this year against Tonga in Auckland, and a big test match for the coach as well. He's looking for a better year than he had last year with the side, and really looking to be re-signed for the World Cup, so it'll depend on how they go.
Fingers crossed, go the All Blacks. And you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with today's southern view, a frozen lost mitten sitting on a small hedge at Dunedin's railway station. Looking at the situation, heavy frost inland this weekend followed by crisp sunny days. Also mostly fine about the coast with some cloud at times and cool temperatures. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, it's a sunny winter's day with 12 degrees in Greymouth and Westport. Moving to the northeast, it's a sunny winter's day for all this region as well, with 13 degrees in Nelson and Blenheim. And it's mostly sunny in Canterbury also, with some areas seeing a bit of cloud. Kaikoura will see a clear blue sky day with 12 degrees, while Christchurch reaches a high of 10 degrees and Ashburton 11 degrees, both with a bit of cloud. Moving to the southern towns, looking at light winds and fine conditions with 10 degrees for the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. Moving to the Central Lakes area, light winds and fine conditions for most in this region, with 7 degrees in Queenstown, 8 degrees in Wanaka and 10 degrees for both Alexandra and Tiana. Winds will tend to be light westerly in Tiana with a bit of cloud. Moving to the northern towns, along the coast expect light winds and fine conditions, with 12 degrees in Timaru and 11 degrees in Oamaru. And it's the same moving inland to Twizel and Amarama, with fine weather, light winds and a high of 9 degrees. In Dunedin, fine and cold tonight with a low of 1. Fine and often sunny tomorrow and Sunday, but some high cloud at times. Still looking at cool temperatures with light variable winds. There's also light frost possible at night. Looking at a high of 11 and a low of 1 degree for Saturday, while Sunday sees a high of 11 and a low of 2 degrees. And in Invercargill, mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 3. Mostly fine tomorrow and Sunday with a mix of sunny periods and some cloud, moderate westerlies and cool temperatures. Saturday sees a high of 11 and a low of 3, and it's slightly higher on Sunday with a high of 12 and a low of 3. And that's all from the South Today team for this Friday, and in fact the week. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and check out Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.